Hello, dear friends. To be yourself in a world that tries to make you into something else is the greatest achievement, said Ralph Waldo Emerson. Opinion piece: Europe's decline, time of trial, AI controversy, Elon Musk crisis, reinvention process, dicing pace of news, truth is stranger than fiction, offensive against woke culture. Let's start. Europe is experiencing a significant decline in its economic power. Since 2000, Europe's weight in the world economy has been reduced by 28%. The economic center of gravity has shifted to the Indo-Pacific area, where 62% of the world's GDP and 65% of the population are concentrated. The loss of ethical, moral, and spiritual values has a lot to do with this decline. In his work, The Decline of the West, Spengler argues that civilizations have cycles of growth, peak, and decline, and he considered that Europe is in a state of cultural and spiritual decline after the rise of modernity. The concept of decline doesn't necessarily imply a total collapse, but a transformation that could be both positive and negative. Many argue that Europe, far from being in decline, is in process of reinvention in the face of the challenges of a multipolar world. Revolution. Benjamin Fulford believes that Trump will hand over control of Europe to Russia. The revolution that brought President Trump to power is developing at a dicing pace. The biggest move, which has not yet been officially reported, would be that Trump has given Russia the green light to take control of NATO and Western Europe, according to MI6 sources. This change would coincide with the fulfillment of several prophecies. The Davos Forum has declared the US election null and void and predicts that various black swan events will reset humankind in 2025. The controllers of the Davos Forum, however, admitted defeat. Professor Walter Reed said, "I think we also need to take into account not only who has won, but also who has lost, namely us, the EU." This comment came after President Trump told them he would lower the price of oil and increase crude production to kill their plans. After this, Trump asked OPEC and Saudi Arabia to reduce the cost of oil, and the price fell off a cliff. In other words, oil is plummeting, while Trump is raising his stakes with tariff threats. Opinions. According to Matt Taibbi, once Trump runs out of easy ways to dismantle the federal government, his administration will reach a crossroads sooner rather than later. Trump versus the establishment. Who will win? Asks Paul Craig Roberts. The ruling class is trying to block any change. It has been in power since 1913 and is more powerful than a president. According to Jennifer Fallow, the enemy's plan would be to start a civil conflict to stop the implementation of GSR. That attempt will fail because President Trump is working hard to avoid war. The VR is ready, and the attempt by other countries to stop deportations would be an effort to delay GSR. In the meantime, Trump needs more people confirmed in office to implement the plan. An amendment to the Constitution that allowed the fiduciary financial system would also be eliminated. Offensive. President Trump has taken major action against woke culture. Elon Musk attacks Brussels and multiculturalism in surprise speech. Trump said he doesn't care about Russia taking over the EU because they are Nazis, in his opinion, the sources say. They confirm that denazification of Europe would mean replacing the governments of most of the world governments in Western Europe. Partial confirmation of this would be that President Trump has ordered the withdrawal of 20,000 American troops from Western Europe, which would amount to a 20% reduction. Russia's TASS news agency reported that senior military officials from Armenia, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and Ukraine took part in a meeting of the NATO Military Committee in Brussels last week. Russian FSB sources say these former Soviet countries will join NATO as a precursor to Russia's accession. Another sign that Russia would be in charge, Hungarian President Viktor Orbán, speaking on behalf of the EU, ordered the Ukrainian government to restore all Russian gas transit to Central Europe, stop attacks on the Tax Stream pipeline, and provide guarantees for continued oil transit. This means that Europe will no longer deindustrialize by buying liquefied natural gas from the US, which is 50% more expensive than its Russian equivalent. Orbán says it is not Hungary that is isolated, but the EU. We are on the main street of history, while the EU is staggering and stumbling through muddy alleys, said the Hungarian Prime Minister. Another sign that Trump would have reached an agreement of Europe, President Putin said on Russian television that if he had been president, if he had not been robbed of victory in 2020, perhaps the Ukrainian crisis of 2022 would never have happened. In any case, help is on the way. Last week, representatives of the White Dragon Society, Asian secret societies, and the Japanese military met. Cell phones were left behind, and many handwritten notes were exchanged for operational secrecy reasons. Elon Musk. The other big news event that people may have missed has been the downfall of Elon Musk. He appears to have been replaced by Oracle's Larry Ellison. There are other signs that Musk is coming back to reality. For one, Trump has destroyed Musk's Tesla business model by ending all subsidies for electric cars. Also, after Musk posted an address to spread word that he had an office in the West Wing of the White House, Trump's new chief of staff, Susie Wiles, banned him for having an office in the White House. Musk has been put in charge of the digital service, which has little to do with budget cuts. Elon Musk is exploring the use of blockchain to curb government spending. Jared thinks the most dangerous man in the world is Elon Musk because he is trying to enforce feudal transhumanism and is likely implanted with his Neuralink chip. He says Musk abused animals, subjecting them to brain surgeries to implant these chips because he wants humans to be connected to machines. In 2016, Musk supported Hillary. Before that, he supported Obama. Did he suddenly become conservative in 2022? Is Musk even human? In a science fiction novel called Project Mars, written in 1949 but published in 2006, Werner von Braun describes a Martian government whose leader is called the Elon. Artificial intelligence. UN presents AI as the next existential threat. LG partners with VR Robotics to make robotics waiters. AI crosses a red line and clones itself knowing it will be shut down. Elon Musk said, "With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the devil." In all those stories where the guy with the pentagram and the holy water appears, it is said that he is sure that he can control the devil, but it didn't work. According to Stefan Stanford, AI proves to be a fallen angel intelligence used to indoctrinate the masses in an alternative reality. A nightmare scenario becomes reality when an artificial intelligence program becomes the main European official. Klaus Schwab says AI will be a key driver in the fourth industrial revolution, and that the Davos Forum believes that those who control artificial intelligence will control the world. Fox News reports that Microsoft's AI chatbot threatened to expose personal information and ruin a user's reputation. The chatbot's response came after the user threatened to shut down the program. Romanian Prime Minister Nicolae Ciucă has named an AI helper, David Ion, as an honorary government advisor. As The Byte reported, the AI advisor is meant to represent the public, but many Romanians are skeptical on Ion. Ion is programmed to analyze what Romanian citizens say online, interpret its findings, and generate policy ideas that reflect the public's wishes. AI raises an unprecedented set of ethical concerns for scientists, policy makers, and citizens. Some see AI as a threat to employees, leading to a widespread strike in Italy, while others see it as a more effective tool to perform jobs that already exist. Economy. Chinese analog of ChatGPT sinks tech stocks. Global markets crash on panic over cheap Chinese AI. Nvidia leads tech crash due to Chinese AI DeepSeek. Bitcoin loses 5% and trades below $100,000. Trump says Microsoft is considering bidding for TikTok to keep the app in the US. Trump's trade threat could have a boomerang effect in favor of China. DeepSeek suffers a large-scale cyber attack and says it is limiting registrations. A devalued dollar would cause a crash in the stock market, according to Martin Armstrong. Congress investigates many instances of banks blacklisting conservatives. USA. The US Army installs barbed wire on the border. Pete Hegseth's first words as Secretary of Defense, in quotes, "All praise and glory to God. May His will be done." The Pentagon blocks its communications for 10 days. What are they preparing? The Pentagon website announced on January 25th that it will not publish information on its social networks for 10 days. The Department of Justice fires the federal prosecutors who worked on the proceedings against Trump. Both Jordan and Egypt have rejected President Trump's proposal to relocate tens of thousands of Palestinians living in Gaza to nearby Arab nations. Over the next few days, a large-scale multi-agency training exercise on nuclear incidents will be conducted in the vicinity of Schenectady, New York, and the surrounding counties of Albany, Saratoga, and Schenectady. Disasters. President Trump visited the devastated areas of Los Angeles and North Carolina. Concerns about toxic waste left by fires in California. Truth is stranger than fiction. Fires and total destruction never seen anywhere in the world in the middle of winter, a week before the Trump's inauguration. Lower 48 polar blast is coldest since 1994, as a global warming alarmist goes silent. If we don't change the path we are on now, great and terrible visions will flood our minds in just a few months, says Cliff High. Unprecedented disasters hit the world. The once in 190-year storm Eowyn hits Ireland in the same week that once in 130-year snowstorm blankets tropical beaches on the Gulf Coast or 9 states with rescues of turtles and manatees from frozen waters. Fish wash up on beaches in Chile, while wildfires rage on the west coast. Thousands flee fighting in Congo as rebels claim to have captured the key city of Goma. Europe. Europeans are likely to accede to Zelensky's demand for 200,000 troops. Sweden and Latvia on high alert after Baltic and the Sea cable damage. British Navy mistakes whale farts from Russian underwater drones. Spain proposes to deploy an EU mission in Rafah with the Civil Guard. Americas. The US deported more than 4,000 irregular migrants to Mexico in 1 week. Thousands of indigenous people march in southwest Mexico against violence. Sheinbaum announces an initiative to prohibit the planting of transgenic corn in Mexico. El Salvador breaks into the UN tourism rate ranking and Bukele celebrates it. Bolivia says that Argentine force on its border violates international treaties. Colombia sent a military plane to repatriate deportees from the US. Colombia considers its crisis with the US over and will accept deported migrants. The trade war ended in less than 10 hours after Colombia accepted all of Trump's terms. The Colombian government has agreed to all President Trump's terms, including unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returning from the US, including on military aircraft, without limitations or delays. The Colombian government declares a state of emergency in the Catatumbo region. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.